Well, who knew that saying only women who are born women are the ones who need tampons would be a controversial statement? But here we are. And there is a tampon company that is boldly and very loudly proclaiming that periods are for women only. The company is Garnuu, and I am joined today by the company's founder, Macy Maxson. Macy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Macy, of all of the companies that you could have started as a young entrepreneur, why a tampon company?
That is a question I get all the time. I never in a million years thought I would start a tampon company, of all things. But I loved puns and different things, and I like to make people laugh, even if they were uncomfortable. And so I think it was pretty fitting. But I actually was working with a nonprofit in Nepal who was doing anti-trafficking work with girls who were vulnerable to sex trafficking, kind of either rescued, different things. And they were actually showing women what their bodies were doing every month, teaching them about their cycles, teaching them about feminine hygiene care. And that really spoke to me, and something that was so fascinating. And it was so simple that it made such a valuable impact on these women's lives. And so fast forward then, I, like most women, I hate going for a tampon run every month. I swear no matter how regular I am, I still totally forget to buy tampons. And so I was thinking, I'm like, well, these should be delivered to my door. And can we make it a little bit more fun? Because I do not like my periods. So let's make it something different. And so that's when I had the idea of creating a period subscription company. And so I wanted something completely organic. So something that didn't have any toxic ingredients. So I didn't have to worry about any of the things going into my body every month, because we use these things in a lot of tampon companies have very toxic ingredients that aren't good for women. And I wanted something delivered to my door, and I wanted to change the narrative behind periods, because who likes them, right?
Yeah.
So it was such an innate part of women, and it's a part of what makes you a woman is your period. And so I wanted to make it a special experience. And a lot of menstrual health companies, they were trying to erase the stigma, but they fail to embrace women's innate feminine nature. We're girly, right? We're girls. We like pastels. We like fun things. We like girly things. So that's why I created Garnuu, and I wanted a chance for women to make a real difference with their periods. And something so basic, as their cycles and their periods. So Garnuu, we provide periods that don't cramp your style. And we are, with each period that you have with Garnuu, you support women all over the world who are vulnerable to sex trafficking.
So with your purchase from Garnuu, does a percentage of that then go to fund, products for girls overseas?
Yes. One of the things that is so funny with women here in the United States, we have so many different products that you can use, depending on what you want. But over in different countries, there's a lot of stigma behind different products that you can use. And so we help women, we'll create different products for them so that they can use in the different countries, depending on kind of what the stigma is or the culture of the country. But yes, so a percentage and a portion of your subscription with us goes to the girls over there.
That's awesome. Well, one of the things that caught my attention about Garnuu is you all are incredibly vocal about the fact that women are women. You won't call women menstruators or birthing people or pregnant people. You say, no, women are women. Why have you taken a stand on this issue?
Well, it's so funny because back in like 2015, 2016, that was kind of when the feminism was kind of on the rise a little bit more. And there was a lot of feminist tampon companies that came out, and they were the by women for women. I don't know if you kind of remember that era of marketing. I swear everything that was on like my feed was by women for women, which I didn't care if it was a good product, then sure, but whatever. And so they were exposing a lot of the ingredients that were in big mainstream tampon companies, which was awesome. However, in June of 2022, Tampax came out with their trans influencer for their products. And so it was mind-boggling to me that these companies that were by women for women now no longer serve women. They're serving men who think that they have periods, and they don't. They biologically do not have periods. And why would you want a period too? I mean, like,
Good question.
Right? Why would you even want one? So we came out pretty strongly, and we were a pretty new brand because we had launched in March of 2022. And so we were pretty fresh, and we're like, yeah, no, this isn't happening. We are not using these terms. Menstruator, bleeder, chest feeder is disgusting. Pregnant person, all these terms that you named, we're not using them. We're keeping women, and we're keeping periods to be a girls only club.
Have you all gotten any pushback for being so clear on your stance on this?
Oh, so much, so much. It's funny because when I came out with it, I lost a lot of friends personally. And I'm like, what? You all know me. I'm just making a stand here that's a biological statement here. Like, where did the women go? Where are the feminists here? And so we got a ton of pushback. But what was crazy is the customers that we lost through that process, we gained so much more because we found the tribe of women who want to fight for women's rights, true women's rights.
And what was the explanation? Were people actually giving a reason for why they were offended by the fact that you said only women are women and only women get periods?
Well, apparently I was a little too abrasive about it, which, it's your opinion, right? But also it was sad to me because I saw a ton of things in my personal inbox too, a lot of personal attacks. But a lot of people were saying that I was spreading lies to people. I was spreading lies to these little kids who, would grow up to believe that only women can have periods. And that kind of struck a chord with me because it's the truth. And so we are just in a world that doesn't know truth anymore. It's your truth. It's my truth. There's no, objective, subjective truth. And so that was something that really pushed me to where I want to keep fighting for this and keep promoting the truth about women, and fight for women's rights. Yeah. Because you need to know if you can't fight for women's rights if you don't know what a woman is.
Mm-hmm. Did you respond to any of those attacks?
A little bit. Some of them, yes. Some of them, it was just kind of sad to see. And so I wanted to respond in a caring way that was, trying to be understanding to people. But at the same shake, you can't always reason with a lot of these people too, which is sad. Because I would prefer to have a great conversation, like this and talk about it. But at the same shake, sometimes it just, you can't talk to some of these people.
Yeah. Why do you think that this has become such a controversial topic, and why aren't other companies like Always or Playtex, why aren't they speaking out on this issue and saying, no, like we provide products for women, they're our clientele, we're going to defend women, we're going to defend women only spaces? Why do you think all of these large companies are just kowtowing to the far left on this issue?
Sometimes I ask myself that question too, because they, like Tampax, I think they own like 80% of the market too, because they've been around since like 1960 or so. And it amazes me because 100% of your customers are women. They're women, that use your products. There's a very small percentage of maybe those trans women who actually will buy them, and will they use them? Is it just a part of the experience of being a woman? And so to me, that just absolutely baffles me because these are your customers. Like, if I know anything about business, you can't completely get rid of your customer base, and completely shun them from, your products. And so I think a lot of them, they have this agenda, and there's a agenda going on, especially in the United States right now, to erase women completely and just keep everything gender neutral. A lot of these companies, and if you might start noticing this now that I bring it up, but a lot of them are starting to be more gender neutral in their colors, along with kind of their verbiage too. And so completely erasing women altogether, which is just mind boggling. I mean, we're the ones that give periods. We're the ones that give birth, let's embrace it, but they're not doing that.
Yeah. Well, I love the fact that Garnuu is speaking out on this issue. And one of the platforms that you're so vocal on in speaking out is your Instagram. I just take such delight in your Instagram. It makes me laugh all of the time. You guys are so creative with your reels and your posts. And I had to laugh the other day because you posted a really funny reel about a book called The Care and Keeping of You that was put out by the American Girl Doll Company back in the early 2000s. I had that book, so I just died laughing when I saw it. But I think it gets to the fact that so often in society, there's not enough conversations, especially for young women, being had about our periods, about our cycles. What do you think are some of the facts that women are least educated on? Some of the things that sometimes even you're surprised when you're in conversations with adult women that maybe they don't fully understand about their periods.
Mm-hmm. This is my favorite thing to talk about, honestly. I think this is part of the reason why I started a tampon company. So I'm not a doctor, obviously, but I have done so much research and we put together a ton of content, on Instagram and all of our social medias. But one of the things that I wish was in that American Girl doll book that I had and that my mother gave me was that our bodies are actually really cool as women. We're not little men. So like men operate on like that 24-hour cycle. And we operate on a 28 to 35 day cycle, depending on how often you get your period, which is interesting. So, okay, obviously I get my period every, 30 days or so. But in that time frame, in that month time frame, you actually go through 4 different phases with your body. And it has different functions depending on each phase. And there's different elements and advantages that you have depending on where you're at. And this is for women that don't have like hormone suppressing, like birth control or different things. So this is kind of just the natural state of a woman. But for instance, one of the cool things that this would have been so cool for me to learn when I was like 12, when I first, started, was that during ovulation. So most people know that you get pregnant, you're the most fertile during ovulation time, which is a few days out of the month. But actually during that time, so since you're more fertile, your face is more symmetrical. You're actually like prettier. You really are. You're prettier. You're more likely to wear red and pink. Interesting, right? You're more social and you have lots of energy. And then you also crave colder foods because your body temperature is up. So I like to tell people, well, you're so much hotter during that time of month. So you just crave those smoothies and those salads. And so interesting. Like if I would have known that, I would have been like to my friends, oh, you must be ovulating. Your face is so symmetrical today. I would have been it would have been fun. It would have been a fun thing. And so we're trying to like really talk about those things to make women aware of the cool things that are happening with their body each month. You're not like, you may not be able to do it all month long, but for like 2 weeks out of the month, you do, so there's these really cool things and giving women a break, but really just embracing the fact that this is the body that God gave them. And it's super cool.
It is really cool because I know I'm not alone. We all do this as women where you're like, why on earth am I so angry today? And then, like halfway through the day, you realize like, oh, it's where I'm at in my cycle. But those like all the telltale signs, all of how our bodies change over the course of the month. It's so helpful to kind of be able to chart like, oh yeah, okay, this is what's going on right now. And I'm not crazy. This makes sense.
Exactly. I literally every month I'm like, okay, I'm so angry. I'm so mad. And then I realize, oh, I'm PMSing. Okay, it's fine. I'm good. I'm good. So it's just some of these things that just women, we all experience and we like to talk about it. We like to make fun of it too, on social media and just really just make it fun. We try to make it fun.
And you all recently talked about something called cycle syncing on Instagram. Can you explain that?
Yes. So it is one of those almost advanced things. So you have to like start to understand your cycle first and kind of what phases you are, using just those tracking apps is totally fine. And then what you can start doing is trying to form your schedule and your eating habits around your cycle. So like you crave more carbs before your period starts from ovulation to your period. So you crave more carbs and you actually need more carbs because you burn more energy during that time. So there's different things and you can eat colder foods or you might be more apt to stay on a cleaner diet right after you stop menstruating, these really cool things. So you can sync your food, your workouts, even your schedule too, like podcast interviews, for instance. I mean, it could be on ovulation. If I could try to schedule that on there, that'd be awesome. I know one woman, you could look into that. I think it's Alyssa Beatty. I think that's her name. She does flow living. She wrote this book called In the Flow. And so once you go down the rabbit hole of cycle syncing, you won't be able to stop because it's fascinating. And I've even started to start crafting my schedule around different times. I put a little strawberry where my period's supposed to be in my schedule. And I know, okay, I cannot schedule a ton of things during these 4 or 5 days because this is not, I'm not going to be a happy camper or a happy cramper. So, so I think as you schedule different things and you work into the cycle thinking, it's super interesting. And so we try to actually give you different tips that you can kind of slide in there. Some people go full out on it. I'm trying to do that, but as a tampon company founder, I feel like I should be doing that a little bit more, but it's a process trying to get in there. But once you figure that out, it's amazing. It's really cool.
That is really interesting and really cool. Now, what are the main things that as women our bodies need when we are on our periods?
So again, I'm not a doctor, but I would say that if your doctor was talking to you, they would probably say you need Garnuu tampons, right? So we are coming out with pads too. They're going to be one of the cleanest ones on the market. So that you can stay tuned for that if your viewers and listeners don't use tampons yet. However, so you can use the products. I would say you definitely want to use clean products, whether they're Garnuu or not, because it is so important that you're not using toxic chemicals or things going in your body like bleach, chlorine, bleach, fragrances, all of these different things. It's really important to keep it clean down there so you can have a natural, pH level. But also I think just taking a break during that time, I think every woman is different. But clean eating is really important too with it because it kind of lowers a lot of those symptoms that you have, like the cramps. Like I know very clearly when I'm not eating well because my cramps are outrageous. And so some of these things that we could really help with our cycles, just paying attention to a little bit more. But also I would say a good heating pad, and some good iron, replenishing, the blood that you're losing too, and those nutrients. But remember to recharge and to remember our bodies are super cool and you're bleeding for 5 days straight and you're still standing.
Yeah. Women are amazing.
Right? I mean, we're so cool. It's so interesting. So there's so many things that you can do and what works for you and for your cycle, but definitely Garnuu tampons for sure.
Yeah. And you all, correct me if I'm wrong, but you all have the cups as well, right?
Yes. Yep. Okay. Yep. They're so cool.
Those are really interesting and have just taken off within the last several years.
They're a total game changer. When we had the tampon shortage in the summer, we had an influx of cup orders, and we have this group on Instagram called the Menstrual Cup Emotional Support Group. And so you can talk to fellow Garnuu girls and talk through your experiences with a cup. But it's such a game changer. I mean, you'll never use any other product again if you can get it. Wow. It's very interesting.
So walk us through ordering process. If I want to try Garnuu, is there a way I can just test it out? Do I have to sign up for a subscription? How does it work?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can order a one-time purchase if you want to. You can go to garnuu.com, GARNUU.com. So you can just order one box or a couple boxes if you want. And then a lot of women, after they try it, then they'll subscribe with us. And so you get $1 off a box every month when you subscribe. And we add some fun things in there. We have a lot of things coming in 2023, which we're really excited about. But you really get a chance to experience, your period, but make it kind of fun. We're trying to make it fun and fun boxes and colors and lots of puns. But it's super easy. You can just subscribe or you can just do a one-time purchase, and you can always try the cup too. The cup is a great option.
Yeah. Awesome. Last question, Macy, before we let you go. We love to ask all of our guests on this show, do you consider yourself a feminist? Yes or no? Why or why not?
I would say I'm a feminist because I think that we should have equal rights, obviously. However, with the mainstream feminism, I definitely am not. I do not agree with that whatsoever. I love women, and I think women are great, and we bring so much to society, but we're very different than men. And so I think that we should be equal. However, there's different things that make us equal, and we have different things that men don't have. And so I think if we can recognize our differences, I think that's when we can become equal.
Yeah, love it. Macy, thank you so much for our time. For all of our listeners, be sure to check out Garnuu. That's GARNUU. Look at the products. Also follow them on Instagram because it's a great time. Macy, thank you. This has been just a pleasure having you on.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so much fun.